Hey, what is going on, guys? This is the SS Ultimate Goku back with another video to talk about and review the episode 3 and episode 4 of the Avatar live action series. Um, so this is once again we left off at the first and the second episode review, and I just watched both episodes. Um, And I'm going to say right now, from these two episodes, 3 and 4, right off the bat, is they took a lot of the material and they kind of fused things together. And I don't really know if I really like this idea. So in the third episode, they start the episode off with something new. We have Azula, who was not in the original season 1 of the anime series, being basically a spy for her father against these, I guess, Fire Nation rebels that just don't like what the Fire Lord Ozai is doing and propaganda and stuff like that. She's basically a spy for them, which is how the Fire Lord is tipped off, and basically, takes them out. I think he sends the rest to prison, but he kills the leader. And this introduces Azula. So this is something new that they did. I don't think this hurts Azula's character because Azula was devious. She was that was her motivation. So this element of bringing her in early like this kind of works, I think. So this is probably one of the better things that they put in here. So then there is a thing with Omashu where we see basically Jet be introduced into this, where he disguises himself as like a marketer or whatever, with food and crops, and like Sokka and Qatar disguised, and Aang is being hidden, and that's how they get into Omashu. And again, this is a changed element because again, Jet had his own episode outside of Omashu. So I don't really know if this was a good idea to kind of combine this. And we also see the introduction of Tails, the person who Aang thinks is the Avatar, who or Avatar thinks he's an Airbender. I'm sorry. Avatar Aang thinks he's an Airbender, which is definitely from the series, from the anime series. And they changed, but again, they changed the whole element of them getting their own episode where it's about them, taking over one of the air nomad places and having basically, their own way of life there. They get rid of that, and it's only the kids being, gliding or whatnot, and then his father, and that was it. And they're in Omashu instead. The whole collision between them and Jet, again, they fused their own, like, things together here. And I guess this could be because of time constraints. Because they had to cram a lot of things in 8 episodes, even though it was an hour. There was a lot of source material they had to adapt. So this might be the reason why they were like, let's put this all in the same thing. Meanwhile, Aang was in. Meanwhile, with Jet, they get him into Omashu. They show kind of the Earth, cart or whatever mailing system. They don't really talk about this, and they don't really kind of show it off as much. They do show Cabbage Man. This was the introduced for Cabbage Man. My cabbages! Um, and for anybody who doesn't know, that Cabbage Man actor is actually the actual voice actor from the Avatar The Last Airbender Cabbage Man. So he's the only person from the Avatar The Last Airbender who is the actual person from the show that voice acted the character and now is portraying the character in the live action series. So kind of a cool thing to see there. So Jet basically is trying to, prove that Tails' father is basically in cahoots and a traitor to the Fire Nation. And this is what Katara witnesses the spying and all this stuff. And in the meantime, Sokka is with the father and the scientist, and here they're coming up with things. Sokka is showing how he has engineering skills and whatnot. So a lot of different elements that they put in the show here. Ultimately, it comes to a phrase where Jet basically follows the Fire Nation spy or whatever, and they take him out. The whole gang, Jet's entire gang is there. They kind of got this pretty accurate with Pipsqueak, the Duke, and whatnot. So pretty good fight scene, taking out the Fire Nations, and they're like, "Oh, we're just gonna take out the trash." But then they basically find out that, Sokka and Aang find out basically that they are basically going to try to take they're going to take out not only the scientist, but they want to take out King Boomy, because they don't think they think he's an insignificant king, so they want to take him out, and they're not thinking things through. Again, this element change, I don't think is a really big change, because it does go on Jet's character of, just not seeing the full picture of everything, because he's just so obsessed with taking out the Fire Nation. But with this thing, I do think the original storyline of Jet was more impactful than this one. The story arc of Jet basically wanting to, take out firebenders at all cost, even if it costs, civilians, just regular civilians. Which in the way they keep that here, but it's not the same, because he's focused on the Earth King, which again makes him really bad, because he's even willing to kill somebody who's actually in charge of the nation that he's supposed to follow. So I don't really like this change that they did here. In the end, there was also a moment with Katara and Jet where, it's kind of the same as it was, and there were kind of Katara had kind of a thing for him briefly because of this. But again, once she realizes that what his real intentions were, she is just done with him. Also, she kind of learns better about her waterbending in this episode as well. She was still struggling with it, but when she did the whole thing with Jet to think of her mother, that's how she started getting a little better at waterbending. So Katara ends up stopping Jet from taking out the Fire Nation when they bumped into the scientist who he's he switched the things with a bomb or something, so they were going to use an arrow fire the bomb. Katara takes it out, or takes the fire flames out at the very least, so it just shoots the arrow and doesn't detonate the bomb. And so King Boomy was safe, um, as well as all the civilians. And again, there was a thing with the scientist that he had talked to some of the Fire Nation contacts, but that was mainly due to the fact that he was afraid that they were going to he was afraid that they were going to basically do anything to stop to hurt his family. So that's why he was doing it. He wasn't doing it because he liked them. So that's really how the third episode ends. Then like I said, I don't really like how they crunched everything together. They did this for time constraints, but crunching this together, crunching storyline arcs together, just kind of seems like, it just kind of seems like rushed. Like they're putting different elements that shouldn't be together in together just to kind of get past to where they want to go next. And I didn't like this. This still wasn't as bad as the second episode, because the second episode really botched a lot. But for this, it wasn't as bad. Also, I should note that also Uncle Iroh got himself captured, allowing Zuko to be freed, or getting out of Omashu, because he would have gotten captured because he was doing fire bending, trying to capture Aang. So Uncle Iroh did get captured in this episode, and Zuko was able to get away because of it. So yeah, there were there was also a telegram too. Zula did send a telegram to Commander Zhao about helping him or helping her, because she's still not the heir to the throne. Zuko is, which also I should bring up. I hated this element. Zuko was banished, but he's still heir to the throne. He can't, I think that is hugely significant, taking out a story element like that into this, because again, it is very, very important. Him restoring his honor, and him not having that here is like, oh, well, yeah, you can't come back until the Avatar is captured, but at the same time, you're still the rightful heir to the throne, not Azula. It doesn't make sense, but this is what we're getting, I guess. So anyways, to episode 4. All right, so episode 4 picks off where kind of left off with Uncle Iroh. Uncle Iroh is captured with Aang, and they talk about like things, how Aang, he's like, you can change him and whatnot. And then after that, Iroh is like, basically taken to the camp where supposedly nobody has been seen again. And they do pick up on the whole thing that happens in later into the anime, where Uncle Iroh gets freed by Zuko. But again, they're doing this a little early, and again, they are crunching a lot of different elements into one for the 8 episodes. But again, still, it just kind of just comes off as really weird, because again, some of the stuff just they belong as their own thing, and they're putting them together as one, and it's just not really flowing that well. So Aang is with King Boomy, and King Boomy is just like joking around, and Aang, they like, let's prepare a feast. They prepare a feast, and King Boomy's like, you've been gone for 100 years, we've all suffered and whatnot. And again, the Katara gets confronted by Jet in this episode. Katara's just done with him. He freezes her, or he takes her down, or Katara takes Jet down, and then she freezes him, and she says, goodbye, Jet. Um, and it was very similar to the series. They did add a line there. I helped you with your bending, and Katara's like, no, I did the bending myself. Um, there was that. Um, there was also a thing with Sokka, and the scientist who basically just gets the telegram from this Fire Nation contact, and he basically says, "No, we have to tell the Earth Kingdom. It's time to take him down." So that's what they're doing. They're gonna tell the Earth Kingdom so they can get ready for the war against them, or the battle against them. Um, while Sokka and Katara are looking for Aang, who at this point they don't know where he is. He's been captured by the Earth Kingdom soldiers, so they're looking for him. They end up going and meeting the guitar players for the Tunnel of Love, which again, this is crunching things together because that did get its own episode. I don't think it really was that necessary, I guess, for this, because this is time constraints as well. But in this, they're already in Omashu. In the original, they were not in Omashu. They were trying to get into Omashu. So the Cave of Love is much different. And again, Aang is not in this because again, he is with King Bumi. So it's just Sokka and Katara in the Tunnel of Love when they go into the Tunnel of Love. I know a lot of people are going to be upset about this, because again, this is where Aang and Katara kiss to get out of it, and there's definitely a way they could have done this and not actually show the kiss, because that's what they do in the actual anime series. But they decided not to do that, and they went into a very conservative approach with this. It doesn't seem like we're going to get any Aang Katara stuff, at least in the early ons in the series. Some people are going to probably say that they're eliminating this. No, I don't think they're doing that. I think what they're doing is that they just don't want to do it until later on in the series, because obviously these are real people. It is live action. I don't know if that's necessarily the approach they had to do, but I sort of can kind of understand where they're going with it. I mean, make no mistake about this. Make no mistake about this. Aang and Katara will they are going to be canon in this live action series, because they have to. If they're going to do Legends of Korra, they have to. Aang and Katara do have to get married. That's just how it's going to be. So make no mistake about it. If people are worrying about that, I don't see why they would change that. It would just be really, really stupid. I mean, changing certain elements of the story is one thing, to kind of crunch things together. But you can't change a canonized thing that is necessary for, the sequel. Because if they're going to do a live-action Legends of Korra series, and Katara have to get married. That has to happen, because that, obviously their children have a significant part in Legends of Korra. So for people that are worrying about that's not going to change. I just think they're executing this a lot different, because these are, again, real people, and these are real kids. I think they were much younger when they filmed this, so they're older now, but this was about they filmed this back in 2021, so which is still amazing, because One Piece was filmed much later than that and came out sooner. So but anyways, getting back to the review, that's why, don't worry about that. I don't think there's anything to be concerned about that. I think they're going to kind of bring it into season 2. Slowly bring it into season 2, but they will definitely bring it into season 2. I think they will. If there is one, that is. Anyways, so anyways, yeah, basically they go into the cave or whatever, the tunnel of love or whatever, and they're trying to get there. They're trying to figure out where, how to get out, because they said to them that, like, well, there's no way we're gonna be able to get out of here. You know, they told him, the guitar guy told him, there's no way you're gonna get out of here. Because no one has ever been able to get out about it. But they figure out that, the whole thing is about love, and that's how they get out. The Badger moles then communicate with love because they're blind. Teasing for Toph, by the way. But anyways, they did give the intro of the whole history of Omashu as well. Same thing, basically. The Badger moles basically help them get to where Aang is at. They assist them into that because they asked for it. And King Boomy then wants to give one last test to Aang, and that is a fight between them. Aang is like, is fighting King Boomy, and like, Aang's holding up this rock because he wants to say, and Boomy's telling me, let it go. You have to help the entire world, not just one city. And then Sokka basically and Katara come in. Sokka basically rushes King Boomy, and then Katara basically assists Aang. And that's kind of how that goes. Boomy's all pissed because it's like, oh, you cheated. They say, as long as I have my friends with me, it will definitely help me be able to, to do what I got to do. Also in the story arc, again, Zuko and Uncle Iroh. Zuko comes to help and save Uncle Iroh. There is some like teasing for Iroh getting attacked by the Earthbenders that are like trying to take him to the camp. But they talk about how, he doesn't, you haven't lost anybody like we have. In reality, Uncle Iroh has lost everything. He lost his kid, and there is a flashback of this, of him losing his kid. And they, again, talk about the elements of, how much, Uncle Iroh is close to Prince Zuko, and why he essentially joins him on the journey, which was never really explained originally in the original, anime series, is that Uncle Iroh, gets attached to Prince Zuko. So there's that as well. Uncle Iroh does not want to take down the Earth Bender. So because of that, he turns his back, and the Earthbender then basically shoots him with a Earth thing on his back shuttle. And Zuko's telling him, you should not be this kind to them, and show him mercy. Then he pulls the Earth thing out of him. Iroh basically tells him, hey, we need to go. Forget about my wound. We got to go right now. So that's really how the episode ends. Again, with also I should mention there was a scene with Azula, May and May and Ty Lee, who are there. They do show the tease, May liking Zuko, how he gets to travel the world, and Azula is not happy about it, and they're like, well, we got to figure out a way. And again, that's where Commander Zhao comes into this whole thing, where he's going to basically be a double agent for Azula, which again wasn't how it worked in the original. They also do talk about Zhao, failing like 3 times to get his to get approved or whatever as a commander or whatever. So he's not probably going to be promoted. I would take it. I don't know. Maybe he will. But again, they're making him more of a pushover than some power hungry, general, like he originally was, or commander or whatever. They're making him a pushover because, again, he's following Zuko's orders, but at the same time, he's kind of doing stuff behind his back, because he did tell the Fire Lord, what had happened. But, people like Prince Zuko doesn't know this somehow at this point. So yeah, there's definitely going to be interested to see how Azula comes into this, because remember in season 2, Azula comes into this by just deciding to go to send out for Zuko as a traitor. So they're definitely trying to, lend into something more with Azula than they were in the original series. But again, Azula had not been introduced in the first season. We didn't know who Azula was, so it made sense. Here, we already know who Azula is, so I guess this is why they're okay with putting Azula in, because again, we can get an extra layer of element of Azula that we didn't get in the first season, because they didn't want us to know about her, because they wanted the focus to be on Zuko in the first season. So yeah, that is how the episode ends. The episode ends with the scientist revealing to King Boomy about the plans, and they get ready to, fight off the Fire Nation because they're about to attack. Aang, Katara, and Sokka, they gotta go again to the North Pole to continue training, so they gotta fend off. So they don't, at least from the way they ended off this episode 4, is that they are going to be parting ways and going next somewhere else, which is probably a mistake because Omashu gets taken over, or at least it's supposed to get taken over. There was a tease about Ba Sing Se in these episodes as well, because they do talk about Iroh and not being able to conquer Ba Sing Se when he was in prison. So there was that. So Ba Sing Se is around. So we'll see where that goes. But yeah, guys, that is my review of episode 3 and 4 of the live-action series of Avatar: The Last Airbender. Comment, rate. If you like this video and my videos, please subscribe. Hit the notification bell about all those contents. Thank you, and that's about it. I am the SS Ultimate Goku. I'm out of it. Peace! Also, make sure YouTube channel the SS Ultimate Goku, Instagram or Twitch the SS Ultimate Goku, Instagram the SS Ultimate Goku, Discord link in the description for all discussions on lots of various fictional topics. And so yeah, now I'm out. Peace.